On September 15th of 2018, the streaming service DC Universe was launched. For anyone who doesn't know or remember, DC Universe was a streaming service that offered DC fans original TV shows based on DC characters, as well as TV and movies from the past, and a huge selection of DC comic books. Sadly, for DC Universe and many of its fans, me being one of them, the service ended up not being made to last, and in January of 2021, DC Universe shut its doors with most of their original programming moving to HBO Max, and most of their archival movies and TV shows going there or being licensed to other services. As anyone who might have checked out my videos over that time period could likely guess, I love DC Universe and was sorry to see it go. The comic selection has continued under the rebranded DC Universe Infinite streaming service. A bit weird they took stuff off and then renamed it Infinite, but hey, it's great the comics library is still accessible for a cheap price. And no denying that the selection of DC-related TV and movies is now much larger, and while subjective, most would argue is a better selection on HBO Max. But DC Universe had a lot of little touches to it that showed the passion the people involved had to make it something special for DC fans. And while most of their original shows did live on through HBO Max, or at least are out there to purchase if nothing else, this is not true for all of the content that was once on the DC Universe streaming service. As such, there's a lot of content formerly on DCU that you can't see anywhere else now, and likely is designated to go down as lost media. Now I should preface, when I say lost media, it technically isn't lost, as most if not all of it is likely sitting on a shelf at Warner Bros. Discovery somewhere, but in the sense of many people, if anyone, ever getting to see it again, most of this content sadly will likely never see the light of day, and will stay stored away somewhere to collect dust for the rest of its time. So for this video, I wanted to take a second to talk about some of the lost media of DC Universe to help ensure it may be lost, but won't be forgotten. First off, the biggest one is DC Daly. I did a video paying tribute to this show after it ended, and you can click on the card in the corner or go to the link in the description if you want more details with that video. But for anyone who isn't familiar, DC Daly was a news magazine show that streamed on the DC Universe with new episodes released Monday through Friday. It was chock full of behind-the-scenes footage of DC TV and movies, interviews, reviews, rundowns of comic stories, and even reaction videos near the end. The show was canceled on July 3rd, even before DC Universe shut down. Many episodes of the show were still on the DC YouTube channel, with a mix of full episodes and clips from the show. They even have a playlist, and I provided a link to that in the description below. But the majority of their 450 episodes are currently no longer available anywhere. And while I could see some of the interviews or behind-the-scenes footage and the like repackaged as clips and future documentaries, there was a wealth of that stuff throughout DC Daly's run as it focused on TV shows, comics, and movies. However, it seems unlikely that they're ever going to re-release the full episodes, as for obvious reasons, they'd already start to seem outdated. To add to that, they've also taken several episodes and clips that used to be on YouTube down over time. It's possible some people might have copied some episodes and will one day put them on YouTube or the like, but no way anyone actually copied all 450 of them, or that they would ever post them anywhere even if they did. So sadly, most of DC Daly, especially its full episodes, will almost surely never be seen again. This next one is the most unfortunate because, unlike most of the things in this list, this series theoretically could be streamed somewhere, at least as far as the first season that was produced, and that's the DC Universe All-Star Games. While most of DC Universe original series did continue to HBO Max, a few shows were not so lucky. One of them, as we just discussed, was DC Daly. Another was Swamp Thing, which was canceled after its first season, but did stream on the CW app and is available for digital download on various places like Amazon, as well as being released on DVD. So anyone who wants to see their first and only season can get access to it. But the other is DC Universe All-Star Games. DC Universe All-Star Games was a tabletop RPG show starring names like Sam Witwer, Freddie Prinze Jr., and Xavier Woods, among others. It only did one season of 6 episodes, but they were a lot of fun. Unfortunately, you'll mostly have to take my word for it now, because after DC Universe shut down, no one, not HBO Max, not CW Seed, not even Tubi, has streamed the first season. The first episode is on YouTube. It was dropped on the same day it premiered on DC Universe to promote the show, and as of this writing, it is still on DC's YouTube channel. I'll leave the link in the description if anyone wants to check it out. But beyond that, the rest of the series is not available anywhere, and I looked when making this video, and I do mean I can't find it anywhere. To be fair, it came out in February of 2020. It was on the service less than a year before they shut down, and no one seemed to report on it or do reviews for it after the first episode. Well, no one but me. For what it's worth, I did reviews of each episode as it aired, and you can click on the card or again go to the description for a link to my playlist of those reviews. But it does seem pretty clear not many people saw it, and adding to that there were only 6 episodes, it may not be a surprise no one is streaming Season 1 anywhere now. But still, it was a fun show, and tabletop RPG shows are popular on YouTube, which would seem a perfect place for it, so I am a little surprised they haven't posted the rest of the episodes on YouTube. I do know from people finding my videos and asking about it that since ending, people have heard about it and been curious, but it seems if you want to do more than watch the first episode, you are currently out of luck. Unlike everything else mentioned in this video, there is a chance that Warner Bros. Discovery might do something with the existing episodes, drop it on YouTube or license it to one of the small streaming services for what they can get out of it, which seems better than just letting it fade away into something people hear about from time to time but can't ever check out themselves. Another project they did that could arguably be considered a DC Universe original was Young Justice Enhanced. These were episodes of the first 2 seasons of Young Justice, the well-loved animated series, that were basically commentary tracks with some visuals. Most of them featured various people who either worked for DC Comics or for the show Young Justice specifically, although they also did band commentaries on a few of the episodes that featured fans green screened in the corner in pairs, giving commentary on the episode. They had a pair from Whelmed, the Young Justice podcast, who did give some genuinely good insight into the episodes, but the rest of the fans in these commentaries were just internet's personalities who have worked with DC, who I believe probably were fans of the show, but mostly only offered off-the-cuff riffing that was hit and miss at best. The commentary for the season premiere is on the Young Justice Wiki YouTube channel, as well as a promo showing clips from the various episodes' commentaries are on DC's YouTube channel, but that's currently all that's out there as far as I can tell. In my opinion, HBO Max could do worse than put these on the service, maybe as special features to select episodes covered, but since it only covers the early seasons, I doubt they'll find it worth the effort, so I guess hold out hope that by the time the series ends, complete series DVDs are still a thing, and who knows, maybe someone will realize adding these to special features will be a cheap way to add some extra bucks to the price tag. Seems the best chance of new fans of Young Justice getting to see any of these, which again is a shame, as minus arguably the fan commentaries, these were a real treat for Young Justice fans, at least in my opinion. In 2018, with little fanfare, DC Universe quietly released an original documentary titled DC Spotlight, Aquaman. It was just short of an hour documentary about the history of Aquaman that came out to help promote the Jason Momoa DCEU Aquaman movie, and if you saw it you were lucky because it was only up for about a week or two before DC Universe took it down. Reportedly, it was due to some kind of rights issue with some of the exclusive clips from the movie featured, but either way, fans were understandably not happy. Whatever the issue was, Warner and DC Universe either were not able to work it out, or maybe just didn't want to, so short of people who caught it during the brief time it was on the service, don't ever count on anyone else seeing it. They also did a DC Spotlight Shazam documentary, but clearly they didn't make the same mistakes with this one, as it stayed on DC Universe much longer, and is as of this video available to view on DC's YouTube channel. It's possible they'll eventually be able to do the same thing with the Aquaman documentary. There are a lot of DC-related documentaries on DC's YouTube channel, but since it was made largely to promote a movie that is come and gone, I don't think there'll be much interest in clearing whatever problems there are to re-release it again. So barring the unlikely event someone copied it the short time it was up and uploads it somewhere someday, then don't expect to see it again. It's sad because it was a good documentary for what it was. It deserved to at least be seen by more people. Now we get to the nitty-gritty of content made for DC Universe that likely is gone forever. DC Universe, in addition to original TV series and documentaries, also made some specials and other short-form content that was posted on the channel. I'm going to run down all that I know of, as you will see most of these are so specifically made for DC Universe, it's all but a given they'll never show up again. First off, probably the biggest of these was their DCU Unscripted special. DCU Unscripted was the contest where fans could send in pitches for unscripted shows that they wanted DC Universe to make. Things like game shows or reality shows, obviously DC related in nature. The winning entry would be made into a TV series to stream on DC Universe, with the contest winner acting as a consultant for the series. The project got as far as the 3 finalists being picked, but then 2020 happened, and then all TV and movie productions were shut down, including the plan for DCU Unscripted, which was shut down mere weeks before filming the final 3 pilots to then be used to determine which one would become a new show for DC Universe. Production never resumed, and then DC Universe shut down, and well, the pilots were never made and the new show never happened. I still feel bad for those 3 finalists, who right before even getting at least a pilot of the show they envisioned made, had it shut down due to something no one could have foreseen and wasn't within anyone's control. However, DC Universe did make a 2-part special that featured the creators of the final 10 pitches coming down to pitch their show to DC Universe. The special remained on DC Universe pretty much until the service's bitter end, but obviously it's not available anywhere now, because who would stream a show that was about picking a show that ultimately never got made? Internet personality and DC Daily host Clark Wolf hosted the special, and actually has a clip of the final 3 being chosen posted on her YouTube channel, which is nice for them, as that's all they really got to remember the show after coming so close to seeing their series made. It seems unlikely the 2 specials in their entirety will ever surface anywhere, and obviously no service is going to want to stream it. So sadly, that seems to be all that remains of this ambitious and now mostly forgotten project, or the 2 specials that came out of it. Also of note, DC Universe did several, for lack of a better word, intros. They ran for about a couple minutes each, spotlighting several of the TV shows, movies, and even comic books featured on the DC Universe service. Hosted by various celebrities who were usually tied to that character or the actual movie or show itself, including names like Burt Ward, Suicide Squad star Karen Fukuhara, and Krypton star Cameron Cuff. I'm going off memory, but they included Superman 1 and 2, the Gotham by Gaslight movie, Batman Ninja, the first story arc from the new Teen Titans comic series by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, among others. They only did this for a select number and not every show or comic series, but it was all for stuff that was there during the launch of DC Universe, except for Krypton, which was the one additional intro they posted later to coincide with Season 1 of Krypton going on the service. I did find these brief clips from them that aired on an episode of DC Daily, but that seems to be the only remnants of them that you can still find. They were posted in their own section where I'm guessing few people watched, aside from maybe their initial exploration of the service upon first signing up. Obviously, these were made specifically for DC Universe, and while they were kinda cool and it showed the extra mile the service went to try to make the service more of a fan experience than just another online streaming service, but obviously these serve no purpose with no DC Universe, so they'll likely never be seen again. Also, on an even smaller note, DC Universe for a few of their shows' first seasons did what they called a Binge Watch edition, a playlist that along with the episodes included behind-the-scenes footage, reviews of each episode, and other goodies to people who wanted a more deep dive into the show as they watched it. Most of these were repackaged segments from DC Daily, but they did film original intros to each series at the beginning of the playlist, introducing the show, and I believe they had a brief intro to each episode, although again I'm going off memory because these aren't available anywhere, and there's no real info to look this up. But they did film at least an intro to each series to be watched at the start of the playlist that was hosted by one of the hosts of DC Daily. They did these for Swamp Thing and Titans Season 1. This was largely a way to give the illusion of more content, since the Binge Watch editions were listed as their own entry under TV series, but they were a neat little thing that they had that no one else really tried. Obviously, there's little chance of these surfacing as they were made specifically for the service. There were some other things I just don't have enough detail on. They did a documentary on a comic artist that I'm sorry to admit I forgot who specifically it was, but the documentary was well loved by fans, but was only up a few months and has never been shown again, as well as a short about how the episodes of the 70s TV series Shazam were transferred to HD format, which were streamed for the first time on DC Universe, the HD format that was, and some other content I may have forgotten or not been able to find info on. Most of it would admittedly have limited interest, especially if seen out of the context, as it was all very much something that was made specifically for the DC Universe service to give it more the illusion of a fan experience rather than just another online service. But at the same time, it was all well-produced DC content that sadly likely is destined to be lost media, occasionally brought up in hardcore DC fandoms and lost media site. The newer fans, or just fans who never subscribed to DC Universe, will likely never get to see. And even if it is super niche content with a very limited audience, it's kinda sad so much content made with effort, and dare I say, some cases, even legitimate heart, is for all practical purposes likely gone forever. But we'll always have the memories, and for those like me that got to experience DC Universe for the short time it was around, they were some great memories. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and share the video. I'm Dan the Man, and I'll see you next time.